let's create this hero section with pure CSS only. Now, if you like to learn how this can be done, this tutorial will not be hard, okay? Now, my slider is very simple. The content is one title and just some description, but in your case, you can use the same project and create images here. So when you click on the tabs, you'll have a different image, okay? So this will be the hero section created with pure CSS. So what we need to do? Well, first things first, let me just minimize this. On the desktop, you can create a folder and call it hero slider, but you can call it whatever you want. Now, I'm gonna use VS Code and I'm gonna load this file. I'm gonna open this folder and it's on my desktop. Here it is. And inside, what I will do is I'm going to create a new file called index.html. Here is where all of my code will be, all of the markup. I'm gonna create a new folder, CSS. Inside, I will put a style.css file, okay? Here, all of the styles will go. Now, let's create this markup fast. So shift exclamation mark and tab, the emmet will populate this just basic markup. And here, say awesome pure CSS hero slider. Good. Now, let's see in the body. First things first, let's link this style CSS because we're gonna forget later on. So link CSS, and here I'm going to navigate to the CSS folder and then load the style.css file. We don't have anything there at this stage, but don't worry. Later it will be everything there. So whatever we work, mostly we're gonna work in this file. Okay, so let's create the hero section, which will be a simple div container. So here I'm gonna say hero section like this. By the way, you can use any editor you want, right? And make sure if you're using VS Code, you have a live server installed. Here is the extension that I have, and it's called live server. Come on, come on. So here it is, this one. Read week day, good. Now that's the extension that is gonna help you to load this HTML very fast, and make sure that you save this file all the time. So in this hero section, I want to have another div element with the class name slider tabs. Okay, so here I'm going to create 3 input, type radio times 3. Good. So it will give me these 3 inputs like this, and they're from type radio. The name will be, well, let's call it slider. The ID will be slider 1, and the ID here will be slider 2. Then we have slider 3, and the name can be slider, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Now, these are in slider tabs, okay? These are in this div class. Now, after this, below this, let's create 3 labels. So let's create a div first that will hold these 3 labels. Label times 3, and hit tab, and it will give me the 3 of them. So these will be for slider 1, for slider 2. So I'm targeting the IDs for slider 3. Okay, I'm not gonna give any name here, and we are pretty much done here. Now, if I go live, this is what I will get. Just make sure it's zoomed. Nothing, right? Only these 3 inputs. Nothing special. Let me zoom in a little bit. So just these 3 inputs. So if we compare to the final version, it's totally different. Okay. Now let's work on this. Let's go into style.css and start styling. So let me, before start doing anything here, let's just Google and find the basic CSS reset. And if you go here and type on Google basic CSS reset, and you're gonna find this, my custom CSS reset by Josh Comeo, and you can copy this one. Yeah, copy it, by the way, all of it. Just put it here, save it. This will remove this will be the default. This will remove the default margin. It will allow percentages, so you can read all of it. So it's not mine, it's from somebody else. That's why I'm showing you, and it's from this guy here in this website, Josh Cameo. Okay, good. Now we have done the basic CSS reset. So all we need to do is to go on, let me just Google font and add some fonts here. So browse for fonts, and you type for Roboto and select this one. I've already selected, right? So you can select the 400. Mine is like this. And when you select it, you're gonna have it, okay? Now, dismiss this. So yeah, here it is. I'm gonna choose the import, and I'm gonna import only this part, and go back to your style CSS file, put the import there, and this will allow us to use this font family, which I'm going to use, and I'm going to put it in the body. So I'm looking for a body, here it is, and I'm going to use it in the body. Nice. So this basically will not change anything right now, but later on when we add text, right, the text will have this font. How cool is this? We are done with Google Fonts. We don't need it. This modern CSS reset, we don't need it. Good. Now let's work. Let's go back. So here, we are going to start with the hero section. We need to target this hero section here, and let's style it. So hero section, and what we're gonna add there? Well, in the hero section, we can add background. First we can add background, then we can define the height and width. So background color, let's use it black here, and then height will be 100 viewports height, and width will be 100%. Save it. There you go. Everything is okay. Now, yeah, here I'm gonna say position relative. So why we need here position relative? Well, here we're gonna use this position relative because we're gonna have different elements like our slider tabs, labels that are under the hero section, so we can position them according to this section. Okay, so we're going to position them absolutely. We can move them around this area wherever we want. That's why I'm defining this to be position relative. Now let's hide the slider inputs, this one, because this one, because we don't actually need them. So how are we going to select it? Slider tabs and then the input. Slider tabs class, then input, and then I'm gonna say visibility hidden and display none. Okay, so save this one. So let's do basically this, because we can work and you can see what's happening in the same time. Okay, so now we don't have any more of anything actually on this blank color, and let's change it to white. Okay, it's gonna be better for us. So let's work more on the labels, and they should be, in our last design, they should be in blue color. Okay, so these are the labels I'm talking about. So we hide the inputs and we are gonna style the labels. So let's work on the labels and say labels, and I'm targeting this class, and then label. Good. So I'm gonna select the label, and here I'm gonna say height of 20 pixels, then width 20 pixels. So I have played with these values. You can try different values if you want. Now the background color, it should be RGB. I also know the color, right? 82, then 137, the last is 186. Okay, and when you save it, it's gonna give you this color. Now you're not gonna be able to see anything because let's do the labels here. So first we need to, they're not visible because we need to style the container, and the container for these labels is this label. Okay, now what we need here, well, display flex, and immediately you can see what's happening there. And let's add a gap there, like 10 pixels. And there you have the 3 labels. Okay, now we have the 3 labels visible like there in the 3 squares. And let's add few more things like a shadow from, yeah, we can add shadow here in these labels. But first things first, let me just make them circle, border radius, and add here like 10 pixels. And they will be, actually, I'm in the wrong place. I need to add them here. Now they're circles. So let's do cursor pointer. So when I hover on them, the cursor will be pointer. And let's add a box shadow. Okay, now the box shadow, I'm going to use this website called getcsscan.com and CSS box shadow. And I'm gonna select the 31st. Where is it? Here it is, 31st. Copy, and I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna go here, and there is the shadow, guys. Now, all cool. So what we have achieved, we added border radius, we have added shadow. Now we can position this here somewhere on the bottom, and that's why I positioned the parent to be position relative. So what we need to do is here we go into the labels and use position absolute. What's happening? Yep. And I am going to define the bottom should be 10%, the left should be 50%. So if I save it, they will be there. And I want to use transform translate minus 50% minus 50%. So I'm using X, this is X axis and this is Y axis. So I'm gonna save it, oops. I'm gonna save it here and see they moved. Now they will be always perfectly centered in the middle of this viewport width, okay? Cool, we have achieved so many things. Now let's add Z index here as well. Z index of 10, for example, and the Z index is needed because I want the labels to be above everything else, right? Because we're gonna add a few more things here, and I want, come on, what's happening? And I want these labels to be visible. Now we need to do something else. When one of the radio inputs, let me tell you. So there they are, they're visible. So when they are checked like this, when I click on the labels, the inputs are selected, okay? And my idea is when one of the radio inputs is checked, we want the label, this label, to make it wider, like this. So how we can do this? What you think? Let me show you. So first, I want to save this style. I want to select the slider tabs. Then I want to select the input, but the first input child input, and I'm gonna say input and NT. I'm gonna use this class NT as child, and I'm gonna pass 1 because I want to select the first one. And when this is checked, okay, then I want to grab the labels dot labels and also select the label with nth child of 1. Good. Now let me just move this one a little bit, put a comma here, and repeat the same process 3 times. So this is going to be same for the second child, the second input when the second input is checked, and for the third one. And here remove the comma. And all I want to do is to increase the width, to change the width from circle to be like this pill here. So I'm going to increase the width to 60 pixels. Before was 20 pixels, now it's going to be 60. And I also want to have a different background. So I'm just going to say background color, background RGB. And here the RGB will be 32, then 72, then 107. So it's going to be darker blue compared to this one. Okay, let's see if this is working or not. Refresh. and it's not working. Let me see why it's not working. And probably we have some spelling error, or I'm not sure. I think this is okay. But here is the problem, okay? Now, instead of slider tabs to be the div that is closing all of this, here, I'm just gonna show you. So we have the div. I don't need that part anymore. So this hero section ends here, okay? And this div, just gonna move it here. So we're missing another div for the slider tabs. Okay, so slider tabs, the div, this container should have all of the inputs and all of the labels inside. Save it, and let's see now if it's gonna work. There it is, it's working, good. So we can continue whatever we're doing. Now, it's working, but we need to define the transition, right? So look, this is not good. And here it's very smooth. Okay, so where we need to define the transition, well, we need to put it here. So let's put it before the shadow, okay? So the transition will be transition and 0.4 seconds. Oh, let's put it 4 seconds, and let's do linear, save it. Now, let's see, there you go. I like it. Or you can test all the other transitions. So ease in, let's say this one, good. Or ease in, out. Yeah, I like this one better, ease in, out. And because we're done with this part, now we need to do the content. And let's start with the HTML here. So after the labels, let's add div or a container called hero content. So it's not going to be called, the class will be hero content. Another container or another div container with the class hero box. And let's also add slider 1 bg. Okay, that will be for the background color. Now here another div with the content where I will have a heading 1 and say welcome. Then I will also have a p tag with the class of description, and I will say lorem and hit tab, and it will be done for me. Okay, so there you go. I have a hero content with one box inside where I have the welcome, the heading, and the description. So I'm gonna copy this thing here. I'm gonna minimize it. I'm just gonna paste it 2 more times, and make sure that you change this to 2. And here I can say like and subscribe. If you want, you can do that, please. And this one will be 3, and it will be the end. As I said, in future, you can just, this here doesn't have to be a content simple like this. It can be images, whatever you want. Okay, now minimize this one, minimize. So inside the hero content, I have 3 boxes. Okay, cool. Now let's go back to style and do the styling. So first things first, let's style the hero content and go back here because, oh, here it is. You can see it. Now hero content, I want to be display flex, save it, boom. I have the 3 of the side by side. Now I want the width to be 100 viewport width, okay? Now I also want to have the position relative here, oops. And you will see why, because we're gonna position things according to this, okay? Now also, I'm gonna apply the transition here on 5 seconds, so I don't deal it with later, and I'm gonna say linear here, okay? So let's style the boxes or the individual, these individual things here with the title and the, let me show you. So let's style these individual boxes here, okay? So whatever we need to do is, I'm just gonna close this one here, and I am going to say, okay, let's target the hero content Then I'm gonna say hero box. And what I'm going to style here? Well, I'm gonna style the height. I'm gonna say the height should be 100 viewports height. The width should be 100 viewports width. The display again should be flex. Good. It doesn't change much here. Okay. Then I want to say align items center. And before that, I want to say justify content center. Good. Now it's all moved down. Let me add a little bit padding there. Padding of 10 pixels. Good. Now it's getting somewhere. So yeah, let's add background to each of these sections. Okay. So here we have for the first part, don't worry about it's look different now, but we have a different background when we scroll. Okay. So how are we going to find this background? Well, you can use add gradient. Let me just go back to page number 1. So you can go on Google and type add gradient and start. Okay. So first things first, we need to select this part here and style it. So how are we going to do this? Well, hero content. Then I'm going to say hero box. And I'm going to select nth child of 1. Now here, I'm going to back to this gradient and I'm going to copy this Edison broken bulb. Copy it, put it here. It always gives me this problem. So there's a column missing here, okay? And column missing here. Make sure you don't have the same problem. And just give them a little bit like that. Make sure it's visible. And there you go. The first section is done. The first box. Now I'm gonna repeat the same process. Actually, no, I'm not gonna copy everything. I'm just gonna copy this one and I'm gonna change to child 2 and copy it again one more time and change to child 3. Okay, so for the second one, I'm going to use something called anonymous friend, and that is probably in the page, next page or page 2. Okay, so where's this anonymous friend? Come on guys, show yourself. Here it is, anonymous friend. Copy it, paste it, done. Let's see. Oops, instead of doing for the second child. Yep, here it is. And the last one is for the third. The third is waiter service. And the waiter service is on page 6. So I'm not going to scroll to all of the pages. I'm going to change the number here. And so it's a green. Here it is. Waiters service. Copy this one. Go back here. Paste it. Tap. Put tab there. Save it. And let's go back here. So we have this nice linear gradient here. All good. So now, so how we will make this, so if I zoom it, how I will make each section here to stretch to fit the entire page. Well, we can go to the hero content. There it is. And increase this 100 to 3 times, 300. And now if I go back here, did you see it pushed the rest of the, here it is, push them on the other side. Wow, how cool is this? Okay, but we're gonna fix this very soon. So how are we gonna fix this? So we push them using the 300 viewport width here, and now because they're pushed, we can just do the following. We can just return them whenever the user clicks here. We can just return their position back. So how are we going to do this? Well, we need to make sure that we hit the right slider tabs. We first hit the right class names. So I want to select the input and the nth child. Nth child should be 1. And when this input is checked, right? So when this input is checked, I want to grab the hero content. And for the first one, I just always want to be here, right? So I'm gonna say here left, and I'm gonna say 0 viewport width, okay? So if you click it, you will not see any change, right? But let's do for the second one, because the second one is here. So I want to move it back here when this label is checked. So how we can do this? Well, simple. When the second label is checked, I want the hero content to be pushed here, or to be moved by minus 100 viewport width. Save it. Let's see. Whoop, you didn't see it. There it is. And the last one is gonna be number 3, and it's gonna be minus 200. Oops, not 2000. Let's do this. So here, 1, 2, 3. How cool is this, ladies and gentlemen? Do you like it? Of course. So all we did is we return this page back there, okay? Nice. So you can do different types of animation. Now, finally, let's style the content, the heading in the description. So I'm gonna do this very fast. It's nothing complex. So I'm gonna do it very fast. Now, all we need to do is to target the, let me just open back this one here and make it smaller. So all we need to do is to target this heading 1, heading 1 and the description, okay? So heading 1, I will say font size of 60 pixels. I will say font weight of, should be bold, save it. Here it is. It's getting, the heading is there. Now, what else we have here? Well, let's say letter spacing of 2 pixels. Then let's save it at padding of 10 pixels. Let's do this. And yeah, we can add some text shadow, but that's not necessary. And let's description, background color, say white. Good. Then let's add padding of 10 pixels, 20 pixels. Great. Now width, so let's add width to 60%. So this one, I don't want to be like this. So if I zoom this out, look at this. It's like that. But if I add it 60%, and if I save it, it's going to look like this. And yeah, finally, let's add font size of 24 pixels. And with this, I think we're done. So let's check if everything is working. Good, cool, nice. We have that smooth animation. And if I make this smaller, it's still gonna work, okay? Good. So here it is. If I make this one bigger, it's gonna be pretty much same. This one is zoom out a little bit. If I zoom in, it's gonna be the same, okay? So there you go. Now you learn how you can create this awesome hero slider. And in the next section, follow, because I'm going to create here a hamburger menu that you can use not just on this project, but on every project that you want. So take care, and I will see you in my next project.